the 50 kilogram weight limit, 100 grams. On day 2 of her weigh-in, she was found over by the limit by this narrow margin. Bharat now filing an appeal, but perhaps it's too late because in cases like this, there is no reconsideration. They have tried everything. The opposition peddling conspiracy theories, but experts openly debunking these theories and explaining the intricacies of this weigh-in process. World Wrestling Body's chief, Nenad Lalovich, has said that the rules are rules and they cannot be changed for anyone. And this is not the first time that a wrestler or an athlete has found themselves barred for not or disqualified for not meeting the weight category requirements. And this is applicable not just in wrestling, it's applicable in weightlifting, it's applicable in boxing. So wherever there are weight categories, it's applicable and the rules are very, very stringent. Now we've accessed the first images of Vinesh Phogat post her Olympic exit a few hours ago, and in these pictures we're seeing the IOA President PT Usha with her, but more importantly she's also cut her hair. Everything was done, all steps that had been taken to just reduce those few grams of weight from the body so that she can qualify or she can meet the weigh-in qualification or mark of 50 kilograms. Now Vinesh's disqualification from the Olympics, a member of her camp has said that she weighed 49.9 kilograms on Tuesday morning, ahead of her 3 bouts that she fought yesterday. The first bout, the quarterfinal and the semi-final. And she's somebody whose normal weight range is 56-57 kilograms. So she's dropped weight to stay in 53 for a long time and dropped it further to compete in 50 kilograms for the first time. She's done a lot to stay at this weight category, 7 kilograms below her ideal body weight. She weighed 52.7 kilograms towards Tuesday night, and that's when the alarm bells went ringing within the entire team. Thereafter, they say, throughout the night for about 8 or 9 hours till the weigh-in, she did not consume water, tried to lose as much of water content from her body to reduce her weight. The team's, the Indian contingent's chief medical officer or CMO, Dr. Pardiwala, shared Phogat's race against time had begun when she was found exceeding the weight category. All night, the race was out, weight to try and cut her weight. Her hair was chopped. She was involved in sauna procedures, post-match meals. Many believe could have led to the weight gain, or between bouts to keep herself hydrated, she may have consumed water in excess of what was prescribed to her because she had 3 bouts in a day, and that could have, there could also be this rebound weight gain where your body wants to recover, and that's why it holds on and there is immediate weight gain. A lot of people who are watching us right now who are into fitness would realize that this is a common phenomena when your body wants to recover, that you have a rebound weight gain. You're trying to lose weight but you end up gaining. Now her team tried to cut this. She jogged, she cycled, she skipped, jumped into the sauna through this sleepless night, and she didn't eat all night. She shed most of the weight overload. From 52.7, she brought it down to 50.1. And that 0.1, those 100 grams stuck on. A stiff rule that led to her disqualification. In the morning of a medal round, the weigh-in period is also just 15 minutes. On the first day, it's about 30 minutes as per the rules. Now, why Vinesh's disqualification means that all her wins and medals stand null in this tournament? It's because of Article 11 of the competition. That procedure of United World Wrestling outlines that specific regulations governing this entire weigh-in process. One, importantly, if an athlete does not attend or fails the weigh-in. Second, if the athlete fails the first or the second weigh-in, then the athlete will be eliminated from the competition without rank. You're disqualified, no rank, and you're last. That's what happens. Whoever you are and whatever stage of the tournament it is. So it may be the final bout, the medal round. It doesn't mean that you are disqualified, so you forfeit the match and you end up with a silver. No, medals go away. So what happens is that the person who you defeated in the semi-final, in this case the Cuban wrestler, gets a shot at gold against her American opponent. That's what happens now, ladies and gentlemen. While the others who Vinesh defeated in the earlier rounds get a shot at bronze medal in the repechage. So what are the weigh-in rules? Weigh-ins take place in the morning of the match. Tournament will be contested over a 2-day span. Wrestler will have to weigh in on both days. Contestants are weighed in their singlets. the singlet weight is also counted. So they wear the thinnest and the lightest of the singlets and then they stand. First day, the weighing period is about 30 minutes, so you can stand on the scale as many times, but there are 2 official weigh-ins. The second day, the weigh-in lasts only for 15 minutes. So if you are found in the first weigh-in that you are in excess of 100 grams, you can't lose 100 grams in 15 minutes, can you? You can try all you want, but if your body is decided it needs the weight, it needs the mass, sometimes it just doesn't happen. And it's not the first time it's happened with Vinesh Phogat. In 2016, also during the Olympic qualifiers, she was found in the 48 kilogram category. She was found in excess with about 400 grams. So wrestlers deal with this often. This cruel twist of fate for Vinesh Phogat means that she won't play the final bout. She won't be eligible for any medal. All her other wins are nullified. And her semi-final opponent, the Cuban wrestler Guzman Lopez, who lost to Vinesh in the semi-final, will now fight for gold at Paris 2024. Vinesh automatically finishes last in the tournament. Tough luck for Vinesh Phogat. Our hopes were up. She's really battled hard. Those who are in the process of gaining, losing, and in athletics and in sport will know to stay 7 kilos below your ideal weight or your normal weight, even 4 or 5 kilos is so tough. And she was operating about 6 kilos, 56 to say about 50 kilos, and still in such prime form. First time she was competing in the 50 kilogram category. We hope that there is better luck and more good tidings over the next 4 years until the next Olympics for her. And she does come back strongly. She's shown resolve. She's shown that she can fight adversity. Let's hope she continues doing so. To all the conspiracy theorists, put it to rest. This is sport. Let's move on. Chaos and absolute mayhem in Bangladesh. The nation has descended into an absolute terrifying madness post Sheikh Hasina's exit. We at The Right Stand have continued to bring you exclusive visuals of how a dangerous pattern had started with targeted violence against the Bangladeshi minorities, largely Hindus, moments after Sheikh Hasina's exit on Monday. That pattern now only taking a far more deadlier and diabolical turn. Have a look at these visuals. Atrocities being carried out against Hindus, Bangladeshi minorities, largely Hindus in Bangladesh. Islamist extremists targeting homes. A genocide of Hindus, quote unquote, is being carried out by Islamist extremists. Now, this comment has been raised by one of the Bangladeshi Hindus, alarmed, who sent desperate messages across for help. Islamist extremists setting homes of Hindus on fire. More than 4,000 attacks have taken place since 2013 as for reports, and this continues unabated over the last 48 hours. Intel sources are telling CNN News 18 that there is constant funding from the Gulf to give ammunition to these kind of radical elements who are nothing short of terrorists, and these are people who have long time lived in the Gulf, loaded Islamist radical bent of mind, coming back to Bangladesh and further fueling this. Now, homes and businesses of Hindus have not just been targeted. These people are not just radicals, they're Islamist extremists, and they're carrying it out as a wave of terror against this community, who are again Bangladeshis but minorities, largely Hindus, and this was focused on the Hindu community as per reports. They are entering homes, setting them on fire, kidnapping and assaulting women, not even sparing the children, and not much of it is being reported. Only some of these instances that have been captured on camera are visible here. Intel sources have told CNN News 18 that these are Islamist extremists or terrorists who are unleashing terror against Hindus. This is brazen Hindu messiah on display there. Bharat's biggest concern remains the attack on Bangladesh's minorities, largely Hindus, in this very tumultuous neighborhood. Reportedly, 97 Hindu homes, temples and businesses have been targeted in Dhaka alone, the capital alone. There are 64 districts, 29 to 30 of which have reported heavy attacks against minorities, largely Hindus, in Bangladesh. The ISKCON temple in Meherpur, located in Bangladesh's Khulna division, and a Kali temple have been vandalized. Houses of Hindus have been damaged. Hindu councillor Haradan Roy was murdered in Noakhali on Monday. Celebrated musician Rahul Ananda's house has also been attacked and set on fire. Nearly 100 instruments in his house have been burnt down, ladies and gentlemen. Indira Gandhi Cultural Center and the Bangabandhu Memorial Museum set on fire. We have all those visuals and it's shocking. Also a story of further chaos and mayhem playing out on the streets of Bangladesh. Exclusive visuals accessed by CNN News 18 via intel sources show that violence has not died down yet. Cops are allegedly seen open firing at protesters. 30 protesters were allegedly killed in the firing. Initial reports said that the cops tried to shield themselves from an attack on a station, but the pictures show otherwise. They were all standing under the taking cover. Suddenly a group of cops emerge and they just shoot them all down. All of them. Not one of them escaped from there. Now these kind of brutalities, it's like a free-for-all there. Maruf Raza, defense analyst with us. We also have Brahma Chalani, strategic affairs expert with us. But first to Dr. Gobind Chandra Pramanik, Secretary General of the Bangladesh Jatiyo Hindu Mahajot. Thank you very, very much. My namaste and jai hind to everybody. Dr. Pramanik, what is the situation on ground currently?
After escape of Sheikh Hasina, the houses of Awam League Hindu leaders and leaders' houses and business office attacked and different parts of Bangladesh. Under protected temples in villages are destroyed. Idol was destroyed. Hindu, Buddha, Christian, Occupation leaders are attacked. Leaders' house attacked. They are against the student possession. So that because Awam League leaders and Awam League Hindu, Buddha, Christian, Occupation leaders family house and home attack. So took stand against BNP. Some Hindu leaders took stand Awam League, BNP and Jamaat. They are attacked that now. So now the situation is cool and calm, but the Hindu are terrified now.
Dr. Pramanik, who were these people who were attacking the homes? Were these those student protesters? What were they saying? What was their agenda?
No identified political identity. No political identity.
They had no political identity.
No.
But what were they shouting? What were they saying? Why were they attacking? Were they specifically targeting minorities' homes, Hindu homes?
Jamaat and BNP leader ensure their leaders and workers no Hindu homes and Hindu houses not attacked. They ensure their leaders. So their leaders already many temple they পাহারা দিচ্ছে তো not Awam League, not BNP, not Jamaat leader. Some terrorists, the identified terrorists are always attacked Hindu temple, Hindu.
So they know the homes, they know the leaders, they know the people, and then they are attacking. But where is the police? Where is the army?
No police. Bangladesh now government free. Not government, not police.
There is no government, no police. You're saying is it? Are these attacks still happening, or have things cooled down a little?
Now cool down. Now today is no
attacks today.
No attacks today.
No attack. In how many districts? In how many districts of Bangladesh?
26 districts. Not at all. All villages not destroyed. Only some people. Some Hindu leaders, Awam League leaders, Hindu, Buddha, Christian, Occupation leaders' house. Not village to village, no.
No, so they have not destroyed all villages, but clearly those who have supported Sheikh Hasina, or those who are...
Yes.
But why have the temples been attacked? Political party leaders, you will say political violence, Dr. Pramanik. But why temples have been attacked? Why are women and children being attacked?
No, they are not identified. Already at night, village temple was attacked. No town and big temple not attacked.
So village temples are being attacked. The big temples are not being attacked. So
and night, already night.
And they're attacking at night.
At night, yes.
How would you read this situation, Mr. Brahmachalani ji? Dr. Pramanik, please stay on with us.
Well, there is a very dangerous power vacuum in Bangladesh, with the army not playing its role. In fact, the army contributed to the situation reaching a point of no return, resulting in Sheikh Hasina's post-ouster. And we have seen that even today, when the Army Chief General Zaman addressed the press, he talked about a swearing in of the interim government tomorrow night. So it'll be 4 days since Hasina was forced to flee Bangladesh before Bangladesh will have even an interim government. But there's a larger issue here, Anand, if I could, raise it, which is that some of the blame India should shoulder, because India has this attitude, it's an Indian mindset of being nice to your adversaries. And the roots of Bangladesh's troubles go back to 1971, when India achieved an extraordinary victory. In just a 13-day war, India took 93,000 Pakistani soldiers as prisoners in what remains the largest military surrender after World War II.
Yes.
But none of these 93,000 POWs were handed to Bangladesh to stand trial for war crimes and genocide. Like 3 million people were slaughtered. 2 lakh women were held in rape camps, and 10,000 were forced to flee to India. But not a single Pakistani soldier that we took as prisoner was put on trial for the genocide. Worse was that we did not leave any residual forces in Bangladesh when we liberated that country. Residual forces for the sake of Bangladeshi security and for addressing Indian security concerns. Stationing residual forces would have spared Bangladesh the national trauma that it suffered, starting with Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's murder, followed by years of coups and counter-coups and systematic attacks on the Hindu minority, whose numbers have dramatically dwindled since Bangladesh became independent. The problem is that the Indian mindset, that goes back to Prithviraj Chauhan, how he pardoned Muhammad Ghori. And then Muhammad Ghori came back, with his army and defeated Prithviraj Chauhan and slaughtered him. So, we don't learn from our own history. We allowed even the war gains of 1971 to be squandered at Simla. The Simla agreement came with no quid pro quo, no effort to even finalize a Kashmir settlement. So everything we did, we just basked in the halo of the 1971 victory. We did not think strategically. We could have prevented the emergence of Bangladesh as a sanctuary for radicals. We could have prevented the Bangladeshi military from becoming an unruly military, a military that has been meddling in domestic politics for a long time. It was only in more recent years that the Bangladeshi military returned to the barracks and stopped interfering in national politics. The fatal mistake that Sheikh Hasina made was on June 23rd this year, when she appointed General Zaman as the army chief because he was married to her own cousin. She thought that he was a safe bet. But the man was known to have pro-China leanings. He was known to be Islamist in his thinking. One of the first things he has done after assuming effective power was to release Khalida Zia, hold talks with Jamaat, promise that the ban on Jamaat will be lifted. These are among his first actions. So Sheikh Hasina's trust in General Zaman was so misplaced, and now we have a situation which is chaotic and a major burden on regional security.
Maruf Raza?
Well, Anand, I must compliment Professor Chalani. He has very ably summed up all the problems that are there in Bangladesh, and they've been there since its creation in 71, 72. The issue that we need to understand is India won the war. That was a military exercise. But we lost the chance to reaping the peace benefits. And Indian generals, and General Jacob writes about it in his biography, had warned the Indian diplomats and the intelligence community that if you don't build in safeguards for the minorities now, there's going to be huge problems. But the arrogance of our bureaucrats led them to say that, General, you won the military part of the campaign, now let us handle it, we know what to do. If you knew what to do, why the hell is this happening? Because you created a fertile ground for it to happen. Secondly, India intervened there, and India had a lukewarm argument for the international community that we are going in to support the Bangladeshi military, which we have ties with. You went in for a humanitarian effort to save massacres by the Pakistan army. And Brahma rightly says that not one of the Pakistanis were handed over. In fact, very few people know that at the point of surrender at the Dhaka race grounds, the Bangladeshis wanted to get hold of the Pakistan army, and the army surrendered and immediately thereafter was allowed to hold back and carry their weapons for protection. It never happens that a surrendered soldier is given back his weapon. But we allowed that to happen. And again, we've allowed a lot of things to develop there and happen because we wanted to be the nice guy. Right now also, here is a chance for India to turn the corner. And what India needs to do is pick up the phone and tell General Zaman that, General Zaman, you've got 12 hours, and I'm saying 12 hours, to take the situation under control, or we are sending in a peacekeeping force. You could bloody well send a peacekeeping force into Sri Lanka, where you did not have that much of a strategic interest, because the Americans and others had told you that Sri Lanka is asking for help. If you don't give it, then Pakistanis will come in. Right. Here, can't you send a peacekeeping force to make sure, and when the Indian army enters the streets, believe me, I know the Bengali mindset. They will put their tails between their legs and disappear into their houses because they take the Indian army very seriously. Not that they can battle the Indian army, but they've built up the entire infrastructure of the Pakistan armed forces on the grounds that if India attacks, we will be able to stand up to them. Let's see, can they stand up to India? And India would be recognized and given credit by the international community that we prevented a massacre and mayhem on humanitarian
But is the international community even bothered at this time? There seem to be all eyes everywhere, but not on Bangladesh. Dr. Pramanik, do you believe the international community has responded to the calls of help, the fervent calls of help? Do you believe that minorities and their interests have been protected ably, especially by those who have orchestrated this regime change in Bangladesh? Dr. Pramanik.
Yes, we agree. International community, if the strong protest, we have benefit. Will be benefited.
But they will benefit. But will you benefit? Have they actually made that, Brahmachalani? That's the big question. The kind of uproar that should be seen because of what's happening on the streets of Bangladesh has not manifest. There was so much more noise for what is happening with respect to activity in Gaza, with respect to activity elsewhere in the world. But here there is no talk. There's no strong words that have come in from the West. In fact, the entire story itself that this has been orchestrated by the West. And the person who's been propped up as the stand-in president or the stand-in premier of the country is again said to be hand in glove with the entire Western deep state.
Well, how can there be Western outrage when Western newspapers are reporting Bangladesh from New Delhi? The New York Times, for example, reporting from New Delhi. They're not reporting the attacks on minorities. They're not reporting the killings of Awami League leaders and activists systematically. Awami League leaders are being targeted. They are being hacked to death. Number of them have been burned to death. None of this has appeared. In fact, I have read more from online Bangladeshi newspapers than I've read even from Indian newspapers about what's happening in Bangladesh. This is the state of play. And this makes me very angry that atrocities that are happening in Bangladesh are not being reported to the world, and all that is being done is to gloss over the violence, the mayhem in Bangladesh, paint Sheikh Hasina as a dictator who caused her own political demise, and talk about the Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus being the new savior of Bangladesh. This is the story in the Western media. And no effort is being made to present the ground situation. The ground situation in Bangladesh remains very, very fragile, with no semblance of law and order. Even the army chief today, while addressing the press, admitted that while there has been significant improvement, it will take 3-4 more days to have even a semblance of some semblance of law and order.
Yes, Maruf Raza. I'm just seeing a WikiLeaks document that talks about Muhammad Yunus in February trying to say that he is interested. He is interested to enter the political fray, and said that he was reviewing his options. So there has been, this has been brewing for a while, and that's what the WikiLeaks papers actually say. We'll come to that in a bit, but Maruf Raza, you were saying something. Please go ahead.
Yeah, one is that Mr. Muhammad Yunus is a good friend of the Clintons, has got his relations in the United States well entrenched. He is an economic guru of sorts. The BRAC initiatives and others are his brainchild. But we need at this stage not titular role models. You need somebody who can bring in order with a rod of iron. That's one. Secondly, we don't need to be looking for copybook solutions that our bureaucrats and our diplomats always look. Oh, it's not our job to get involved in somebody else's problem. If it's not your bloody job to get involved in somebody else's problem, then why did you get involved in Sri Lanka? And you, till the very end, you read the papers regarding the Indian peacekeeping force operation. It was hardly a peacekeeping force, it was a peace enforcing force. So you put a peace enforcing force in place and enforce peace. And you need to define very clearly what are the red lines. We never did that in Sri Lanka. So the army was fighting with arms tied behind their backs. They never had a clear role given out to them. And the benchmarks kept changing. And one of the architects of that was the so-called guru of foreign policy in India, Mr. J.N. Dixit, who also been High Commissioner in Bangladesh. So we need to be very clear. As a country, you want to play a global role, sort out your own backyard, damn it. Forget about a global role. You don't have the guts to step out and say that you'll play a peacekeeping role in Ukraine, a peacemaker. And what role do you want to play? You want to only give aid where the economies are sinking like Maldives, and even then the Chinese get past you in the race for domination. You need to be very clear. Bangladesh is an important country. We have a choice today. You either let Bangladesh come onto the Indian side, or you let the Pakistanis and Chinese move in and establish a solid base, and then be cornered and keep complaining for the next 10 to 15 years in seminar halls in Delhi, which our intellectuals love to sit down and waffle there. They pontificate about what India could have done, could not have done.
Right.
You missed out on the opportunity to recognize Tibet, and China moved in and took over Tibet. You missed out on the opportunity to respond to China's footprints in Nepal and Sri Lanka. They are there again.
Yes.
China is providing 80% of the military hardware to the Bangladesh army. Sensitivities with China are strong in Bangladesh. They train with them, they engage with them, They travel to China, and China has bagfuls of money and we can bail them out. We are doing nothing. We are just,
point is that between
we are like
the
the Rajas and Maharajas of the British time who sat and watched from the fences as Punjab went under British control.
true.
Sorry, back to you.
No, true. What I'm also saying is that in the neighborhood, we are seeing nations that are batting between the West or the US-led hegemony to the West and the Chinese hegemony. And between these two is where the whole game is being played, while India is always on the sidelines, and we have got to bear the brunt of it either ways. The regime changes in Pakistan, regime change in Bangladesh, both orchestrated by the West. But then China moves in to seek benefit or eke out benefit, be it in Pakistan, Afghanistan, or now in this case in Bangladesh. Of course, in Nepal, we talked about Maldives, you touched upon it. What's happening in Sri Lanka? We are seeing it manifest. What are we doing as a nation, and how soon is it going to hurt us? Plus, strategically, another question is there a slew of anarchy that could be on display on our streets and a forced regime change because certain nations or certain entities don't like our exercising our own strategic autonomy? Let's talk about that now. Dr. Pramanik, thank you very, very much for your time. Brahmachalani ji and Maruf Raza, please stay on with us. Ambassador Pinakaranjan Chakravarti should be joining us any moment. But here's more, ladies and gentlemen. Our security affairs editor Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us these details. That Bangladesh and Sheikh Hasina, despite her proximity with Beijing, was always close to Bharat. And Bharat is now keeping a very close watch on what's going to happen in Bangladesh. Intel sources are saying that first challenge remains maintaining strategic ties with the new government after Sheikh Hasina's ouster. The second challenge remains dealing with the new government, which will be guided by the invisible foreign hand that led to Hasina's ouster. The new leadership will mean new realignments in the region, and gaining confidence and trust will be a major issue. With new government in Dhaka leaning towards China and the West may not be favorable for us at all. Negotiating on trade, security, diplomacy with Dhaka will be another challenge. Resolution on long pending water and border disputes will be another major challenging area, especially the delineation of the enclaves, the swapping of the enclaves, the Teesta Water Treaty, so many other aspects. Influx of radicals, Rohingyas and illegal immigrants, one of our biggest concerns. And with attack on the Bangladeshi minority, largely Hindus, on the rise, their safety remains a big concern for us. And of course, what was orchestrated in the neighborhood, can it also manifest here? That becomes a larger concern, with a lot of leaders from the opposition talking about anarchy and something similar happening in Bharat itself. Ambassador Pinakaranjan Chakravarti with us. Will be joining us in a bit. Maruf Raza and Brahmachalani ji, stay on. Maruf Raza, you want to take the lead on this one. What does it mean for us as a nation at various levels? And can this be orchestrated? What's been orchestrated in Bangladesh, what we saw in Sri Lanka, what we saw in Pakistan, are these just trial runs to see how it can be done in Bharat? Should we be really worried about that?
You see, the Chinese and the Pakistanis are working in tandem, and they are very clearly testing the waters in Bangladesh. Secondly, as far as we are concerned, what we need to worry most about is the spillover of the problem of Bangladesh into India and the border areas with Bangladesh. And to prevent that from happening, we have to move in and provide discipline. Now, we'll have Indian diplomats, and they are experienced in this business. Ambassador Pinakaranjan Chakravarti has done 2-3 tenures in Bangladesh. And they'll say, no, we cannot interfere in another country's business, etc. The fact of the matter is, what is the point of being a big-sized nation, which many see as a power of consequence in South Asia, if you don't have the guts to step up to the challenge? And I believe there is a challenge here in the interest of the people of Bangladesh, in the interest of India, in the interest of our reputation as a country that can stand up and make the laws known to neighboring states where there is turmoil, that we are not going to allow our neighbors to burn, and especially the Hindu minorities. We have so much of talk from this government and its hangers-on about CAA and everything to provide a protective cover to people who are harassed in minority groups in Pakistan or Bangladesh or wherever. They are being vandalized. They are being killed, burnt. Indians are seeing the shocking spectacle of temples being, burned down. Aren't we going to move in? What is our thin line of patience all about? We need to make it clear that you've got 24 hours and tell General Zaman that you've got 24 hours to get your act together, General Saab, and you know what the Indian Army is capable of. We'll come in and we will kick those bloody rogues into shape. We have a reputation of doing that. We know how to deal with internal disturbances, and we'll do it again. But can the Indian government make this announcement?
Well, that's one aspect of trying to protect the interests, and also, but the other aspect, Brahmachalani ji, Ambassador Pinakaranjan Chakravarti is with us. But Brahmachalani, there are two layers to this question and what we should wonder. One is the impact on our borders and what's going to happen to us strategically. The other one is that if there are entities who are so strong that they can orchestrate regime changes in nations around us, what is stopping them from orchestrating anarchy on our streets?
Absolutely.
That's a good question, Anand. What happened in Bangladesh could be called a color revolution in disguise. Because powerful external forces were aligned against Hasina's government. The Biden administration came out openly against Hasina's government last year. In more recent months, we have seen, even when Hasina went to Beijing recently, that China was displeased with her. So we had powerful forces working against Hasina, wanting her to be out of office. Was that an important factor that fueled the domestic protests and the violence that ultimately led the army to oust Hasina? That's something that needs to be investigated. But certainly when we had the farmers protests in India, you remember that Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada cheered on the farmers openly interfering in the internal affairs of India. And the farmers' protest was portrayed in the Western media as a movement for reform, and that the government was accused of actually trying to suppress that movement. So we had a little preview of what a larger protest movement in India could look like, the kind of support it will get in the West. The fact is that just as Hasina's government was not liked by powerful foreign interests, the Modi government, let's face it, whether we like Modi or dislike him, the fact is that the Modi government is abhorred in the West. The Western powers would like Modi government to be out of office, and so would China. So there are powerful forces also aligned against the Modi government. There should be no doubt about that. But I think what Maroof is suggesting is some proactiveness on India's part, and he's right. He's always been very clear-headed. I've admired Maroof for his clear-headed thinking, which often is lacking in India. We need to be a bit more proactive without being aggressive, without being our appetite for risk should not go to such an extent that we act in ways that are counterproductive to our interests. We need to be both cautious as well as proactive. And finding the right balance is the real challenge for Indian policy. But if I could just make one last point, which is that look at the impact of what has happened in Bangladesh on our interests. It's first the longest border that we have with any country, with any neighbor, is with Bangladesh. And this is a very porous border that cannot be effectively patrolled. And the overthrow of the Hasina government and the return of the army in the saddle have put India's vital interests at stake, including the interests that we have vis-a-vis Bangladesh, the transit rights, the the cooperation on stopping illegal migration to India, the counterterrorism collaboration with Bangladesh, all that is at stake. And then on top of that, the developments in Bangladesh threaten the security of
because
India
these problems can very soon compound for us. Now, already this whole conversation about carving out a separate Christian state, because that's what the white man wanted, as Sheikh Hasina had claimed, out of Mizoram, out of the Kuki-Chin area, and also from Chittagong. This was what was being planned with an airbase around the San Martin Island. Now, this is one aspect. If there is a huge influx into our states, the indigenous local population will rebel. There will be strife, there will be anarchy, and there will be riots on the street. Can we afford to actually open up a third front, send a peacekeeping force when we are strained along the LAC and in the Jammu region already with FTs coming in from Pakistan? So we have to sit back and see how do we deal with this in a way where we are able to exercise our strategic autonomy, retain it, and not fall prey to these two hegemonistic entities who are swirling in this neighborhood. Ambassador Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti.
Well, to begin with, let me say that we have a problem. We've had it for a long time. Now it has burst upon us. And yes, there is competition between two major powers in trying to influence events in our region. You have seen, circumstantial evidence is so clear that there was a collaboration and collusion between Washington and Islamabad. Basically, Washington outsourced this thing to Islamabad. Yes. Look at it this way. Let me just point out a few things. The army chief and the ISI chief are treated like royalty in Washington when they visit some time back. And guess who has the longest meeting? Victoria Nuland. I don't know how many of you have heard of her. You must have.
Yeah.
She's the one who organizes, regime change for the U.S. State Department and the U.S. Deep State. The one who organized the Maidan Revolution, Yellow Revolution, whatever you call it, and see what has happened in Ukraine. Because Russia couldn't take it anymore, so I think they moved in, which is what my good friend Maruf is trying to suggest, that we should do a very similar thing, like go and do some peacekeeping. I'm not going to agree with Maruf here. So sometimes I do feel like that. But Maruf is a straight talker and a blunt talker. But my grooming as a diplomat prevents me from saying that kind of stuff. But I am going to stick my neck out a lot. I think we should be much more on the covert side. I do feel that when Hasina was in power, we have neglected that side. Because we thought we are in a safe zone, Hasina is there, she'll take care of things that bother us, which she did. One should acknowledge that which she did. Ulfa handed over, all the insurgent camps were uprooted. Because I know when we used to first tell them all this, they would come back and say, we found no camps. During the BNP regime and other things. They would simply tell them to move somewhere else. Now this was happening. So we were naturally, worked up about this. But when Hasina came in, she did solve that. But whatever it is, I will not discuss what happened in Bangladesh and why it happened. I think we all know it. But the point is, how do we deal with the situation? I have a nasty feeling that this new government, the interim government, is not able to be very friendly with it.
Okay.
From their first few actions that they have taken does not indicate, although I myself try to justify in another panel, that they may be saying, look, these guys have suffered a lot, let them now come out and join the mainstream, etc., etc. I'm talking about Khalida Zia being released from jail.
Yeah.
She is, of course, ill and perhaps deserves, but she was under house arrest and was being treated. It was not there.
No, but there's also been an entire prison break or jail break that's been orchestrated, like with the Taliban, which happened in Afghanistan, in Kabul. Similar one has happened in Dhaka. Yeah.
I would presume these are the Jamaatis and various Islamists who would have broken out and of course probably facilitated it. Now the Jamaatis have reopened their office in central Dhaka, and they had a good press conference and said very nice things that we are all one, there is no Hindu, Muslim in this country, etc., etc. I would say when a viper makes these kind of noises, one should be very, very careful because behind those lovely words is a different agenda.
Yeah, there's a lot of venom.
A lot of venom. So, and the Jamaatis are, I would say that the Jamaatis have been the main stormtroopers of this mob violence, etc. They are taught to be violent from a very early age. They are trained. They are given training in slitting throats.
So, but what should we do about it? The larger question is, how do we? We've got 4 or 5 multi-pronged issues because of
when
what's
I
happening.
said covert action,
Ji.
we have to identify some of these people who are doing all this, and some unknown men can bump them off.
That's true.
Can't we do that?
That's true. But then if there are people who are sitting, Maruf Raza, these entities who can, if they can orchestrate a regime change there, can they orchestrate chaos in our country and stop us on our thought on our growth path? See, one of the aspects in this region is we are the most stable democracy. There is a certain growth path that we have been continuing to do as a nation, and there is a graph. Now, this is the most critical time. This decade is the most critical time for us as a country. Unless we have absolute clarity as Indian citizens that this is the time. If this time passes, then we're going to struggle on. This cycle of us being a developing nation is going to continue on for another 5-6 decades before we get a shot at it again. So, and there will be entities which will want to disrupt this.
Anand, you know, we must become alert to the evolving situation now. If not any earlier, we should have been. The thing is, India is, as one political scientist in America had written 4 decades ago, that there are fissiparous tendencies in India that could lead to the breakup of India.
Yeah.
So we have to be alert to that, and those in our neighborhood are looking to exploit it.
Yes.
The Pakistanis, I've heard them say that with Bangladesh, it's one religion but 2 countries, and we want to be all on the same narrative. So what we need to do is we need to prepare to prevent this kind of a situation spilling over. It's not difficult for public chaos to topple governments.
Yeah.
Just because you are elected, it doesn't give you a certificate that you are secure.
Correct.
You may be elected, but you have to be on the watch. Our societies are volatile. As somebody said, that while we are democracies, we are also functional anarchies. And we need to understand that this kind of a situation, people in the opposition are looking to exploit. I'm not talking of India's opposition parties. People in the opposition to the idea of India.
Yeah.
That is, people in Pakistan, people elsewhere. And let me tell you, those of us who see the West and America as our good friends, they forget the fact that it's these very people who are looking for opportunities to dominate our part of the world. And if we are regarded as a stable democracy needs to have the ability to protect its own turf.
Right.
You can't protect your turf, and one way to protect your turf, and in the military they tell you that go beyond your boundary line and make sure they don't enter your boundary areas. And therefore I'm suggesting a hardline measure, but believe me, in retrospect, people are going to turn around and say that this guy is speaking sense.
Gentlemen, when we have three wise men on the panel, we want to keep the conversation going, but we've got paucity of time, so I have to pause for now. Thank you very, very much for your inputs and insights. We'll continue to have this conversation through the coming days. Thank you very much. We're going to take a very short break here on The Right Stand, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, exclusive details of the Waqf Amendment Bill that will soon perhaps see itself manifest in Parliament. Stay with us.
भाई मैंने भी इस बार एसआईपी करके म्यूचुअल फंड में पैसे डाल तो मुझे ये जानना था कि केवाईसी का चक्कर क्या है।
म्यूचुअल फंड सही है .com या अपने म्यूचुअल फंड की वेबसाइट पे जाओ, पैन नंबर डालो और सिर्फ इतना देखो कि तुम्हारा केवाईसी स्टेटस रजिस्टर्ड है या वैलिडेटेड।
रजिस्टर्ड हो तो
आधार और पैन कार्ड के साथ अपना केवाईसी वैलिडेट करो, जरूरी है और ज्यादा वक्त भी नहीं लगता।
और वैलिडेटेड हो तो
सही है।
सही है माई भाई, अब तक इन्वेस्ट किया ना हो तो
केवाईसी कर लो और मैदान में उतरो।
सही है।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
Vinesh Phogat has been disqualified from a 50 kilograms category because of being a few grams over as far as her weighing in today is concerned ahead of her final. Can you begin by telling us what happened today and also what happened yesterday? Because we are being told she barely made the cut yesterday also.
So I think let's put everything into perspective. I think people are going crazy all over the place. It is a very sad day. It is devastating. It's heartbreaking. I understand all of that, but then this is sport and there are rules. And also you need to understand that Vinesh used to fight in the 53 kilogram category. Then she reduced her weight to fight in the 50 category, and Antim is now fighting in the 53 category. So to start with, Vinesh's weight used to be 50 plus. Now she brought it down to under 50, and yesterday when she weighed in, it was absolutely fine. She just about made it, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you even make it by 0 point whatever is fine. So she won 3 bouts, 3 fantastic bouts she won, especially against the Japanese who had a score of 84-0 wins, and Vinesh beat her. Now, after that, so what happens is when you do the weigh-in, after that you can eat as much as you want, you can drink water, you can do what you want. So then she barely made the cut yesterday. Then of course between bouts she would have eaten, she needed her strength back. So then athletes go and eat. So after she would have fought 3 bouts, she would have eaten a sufficient amount to be able to get the strength and everything back. You're not dehydrated because you don't drink water to make the cut. When she went back, she realized that she was quite a bit overweight. So the whole night, the team of doctors, Dr. Padiwala and his team and everybody, they put her into a sauna, they made her run. The whole night, they've not slept. The whole night they tried to reduce her weight, even cut off part of her hair, etc., so that every little gram makes a difference. And this morning, they have a window of 15 minutes. That's the rule. Now, within that window of 15 minutes, when they weighed her, she was a few grams over. And that is it. And that is what happens in a sport like wrestling, boxing, weightlifting. You have to make the cut. Yeah. And I'm just seeing tickers coming up on my phone. There is conspiracy, there is this, there is that. No, there is nothing. Vinesh herself will probably tell you that she tried as hard as possible with the whole medical team of doctors to try and reduce. She was put in the sauna, every single thing. And at the moment, she's actually dehydrated. She's actually being treated for dehydration. So
where is she being treated? Is she in a hospital or she's at the village?
No, it's a polyclinic. Polyclinic of what we have set up, our own polyclinic. We've got some of the best doctors like Dr. Padiwala looking after her. Right through the night they were with her.
The Waqf Amendment Bill, which will amend the law governing Waqf boards, is likely to be introduced in Parliament on Thursday. CNN News 18 has accessed exclusive details of the key highlights of the bill. The first highlight, collectors to carry out preliminary survey in place of the survey commissioner. Highlight 2, Central Waqf Council to also include 3 MPs, of which 2 should be from the Lok Sabha. Highlight 3, Central Waqf Council to also have 2 non-Muslim members. Highlight 4, Council and State Waqf Boards to ensure representation of women and non-Muslims. Highlight 5, separate board of Waqf to be established for Bohras and the Aga Khanis. Highlight 6, board to have representation of Shia, Sunni, Bohra, Aga Khani and OBCs among Muslims. Also, registration of Waqf property must be through a central portal and database. Board no longer will be the sole power to decide whether a Waqf property is Waqf or not. Now, how is the government built consensus on Waqf amendments held? They actually held consultation with general public to improve Waqf management, held consultations with complainants who faced issues with the Waqf board, held consultation with the UP Waqf board officials and general public in UP, held consultations with CEOs, chairpersons of Waqf boards of 9 states and union territories, held consultation with representatives of state governments over its functioning too. So at multiple points, the Waqf Amendment Bill, the government believes, has got larger, broader consensus. It will be brought in Parliament on Thursday. That's the CNN News 18 mega exclusive with respect to the insights. Winding up the right stand on that note. Stay with us. Brass Tacks follows.
Go powered by
माई भाई मैंने भी इस बार SIP करके म्यूचुअल फंड में पैसे डाले। तो मुझे ये जानना था कि KYC का चक्कर क्या है।
म्यूचुअल फंड सही है .com या अपने म्यूचुअल फंड की वेबसाइट पे जाओ, पैन नंबर डालो और सिर्फ इतना देखो कि तुम्हारा KYC स्टेटस रजिस्टर्ड है या वैलिडेटेड।
रजिस्टर्ड हो तो
आधार और पैन कार्ड के साथ अपना KYC वैलिडेट करो, जरूरी है और ज्यादा वक्त भी नहीं लगता।
और वैलिडेटेड हो तो
सही है।
सही है माई भाई, अब तक इन्वेस्ट किया ना हो तो
KYC कर लो और मैदान में उतरो।
सही है।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
Vinesh Phogat has been disqualified from her 50 kilograms category because of being a few grams over as far as her weighing in today is concerned ahead of her final. Can you begin by telling us what happened today and also what happened yesterday? Because we are being told she barely made the cut yesterday also.
So I think let's put everything into perspective. I think people are going crazy all over the place. It is a very sad day. It is devastating. It's heartbreaking. I understand all of that, but then this is sport and there are rules. And also you need to understand that Vinesh used to fight in the 53 kilogram category. Then she reduced her weight to fight in the 50 category, and Antim is now fighting in the 53 category. So to start with, Venesh's weight used to be 50 plus. Now she brought it down to under 50, and yesterday when she weighed in, it was absolutely fine. She just about made it, and that's fine. If you even make it by 0 point whatever, is fine. So she won 3 bouts, 3 fantastic bouts she won, especially against the Japanese who had a score of 84-0 wins, and Vinesh beat her. Now, after that, so what happens is when you do the weigh-in, after that you can eat as much as you want, you can drink water, you can do what you want. So then she barely made the cut yesterday. Then of course between bouts she would have eaten, she needed her strength back. So then athletes go and eat. So after she would have fought 3 bouts, she would have eaten a sufficient amount to be able to get the strength and everything back. You're not dehydrated because you don't drink water to make the cut. When she went back, she realized that she was quite a bit overweight. So the whole night, the team of doctors, Dr. Padiwala and his team and everybody, they put her into a sauna, they made her run. The whole night, they've not slept. The whole night they tried to reduce her weight, even cut off part of her hair, etc., so that every little gram makes a difference. And this morning, they have a window of 15 minutes. That's the rule. Now, within that window of 15 minutes, when they weighed her, she was a few grams over. And that is it. And that is what happens in a sport like wrestling, boxing, weightlifting. You have to make the cut. Yeah. And I'm just seeing tickers coming up on my phone. There is conspiracy, there is this, there is that. No, there is nothing. Vinesh herself will probably tell you that she tried as hard as possible with the whole medical team of doctors to try and reduce. She was put in the sauna, every single thing. And at the moment, she's actually dehydrated. She's actually being treated for dehydration. So
where is she being treated? Is she in a hospital or she's at the village?
No, it's a polyclinic. Polyclinic of what we have set up, our own polyclinic. We've got some of the best doctors like Dr. Padiwala looking after her. Right through the night they were with her. So all this conspiracy theory, for God's sakes, take it out. This is a sport. Even
This is CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio. It was a historic night last night when Vinesh Phogat went where no other Indian woman wrestler had ever gone to. She qualified for the finals and was a sure shot silver medalist at least. All she had to do was to enter the wrestling arena. But this morning, we got word of what was heartbreaking news, gut-wrenching news, that she has been disqualified because she could not weigh in within 50 kilograms, which was the category